Brian Bookstar talent. Nicely done. Time to go viral. The Rams traded 5-time Pro Bowl cornerback Aqib Talib this offseason. And with the NFL schedule being released yesterday, they're already putting him to work.
We good? Los Angeles Rams, Aqib Talib speaking.
Hello, sir. It's Michael Morris calling from the league office in New York. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How you doing?
Good. Welcome to Los Angeles.
Thank you, sir.
Are you going to take down the schedule and let everybody know today?
Yeah, I'll be doing all the secretary work today. Yes, sir.
Why are you laughing so hard?
Of all the guys on the roster now, he wouldn't have been the guy that I was would have put on the phone to receive that phone call, because also he didn't receive some phone calls from the NFL. They wasn't good.
Right.
That's why there was a pause.
Guy from the league office, he's like, what is happening here? Like, did I call the wrong number?
And then went right in, he's like, anyway, business at hand. Will you be taking down the schedule if I have you?
But it's a great thing by the Rams that they get the personalities of some guys that they have, veteran players, that I can guarantee you, the other place he's been, he's never been able to do stuff like this. So it makes your job a little funner, but it's also they're embracing the new talent that they have there in L.A.
It certainly doesn't hurt that they are taking these guys and putting them out in a great light, because no one knows what's going to happen when the season starts, once everyone's on the field. So let us all fall in love with them right now and see what happens.
Rams went from, in 15 months, one of the least relevant teams in the league,
yeah, you're right,
to a marquee team, a team you're excited to watch, a team coming off a great season with a ton of talent. Like, I think it's great.
Yeah, exciting things for the Rams.
No doubt.
All right, time for some stories to start your morning, and we are sticking with the NFL aforementioned schedule. Thursday Night Football will be on Fox this season. It kicks off Week 4 with the Vikings going to L.A. to take on the Rams. Speaking of, the Thursday night schedule jam-packed with great head-to-head matchups. CeCe, how excited are you for Thursday Night Football on Fox? And let me ask you, how excited do you get, like, the night before the schedule comes out, since you stopped playing, just to get excited for the season to start?
I'm really excited because at Fox. But, yeah, real excited because I'm at Fox. I'm excited about NFL football.
And Fox.
And if you look at the content that we have at Fox, we have 60% of NFL content going across the airways. So exciting times for us. Also, they made some adjustments. Not only did we get that package, but they took away that these have to be divisional games. I think that led to a lot of bad matchups on Thursday night. So I'm excited now. We got some cross-conference, cross-divisional rivalries, some star marquee players playing on Thursday night. Thursday night is prime time in the NFL.
Right, and I mean, there are still some divisional matchups, but they're divisional matchups you're excited to see.
Yes.
Returning playoff teams. And then some old rivalries, Colts, Patriots, you mentioned starting with Vikings, Rams, Panthers, Steelers, Packers, Seahawks, Saints, Cowboys. Like, it is, and just as I know, obviously, we're super excited because it's on Fox and that's our network. But just as a football fan, if you're watching and you're not like a Fox stakeholder, it's great that the midweek game is a marquee game. A game to look forward to get you through those little 4 days where you only have one football game. I love it. I'm excited for it.
All right, moving on to some basketball. Joel Embiid returned from injury last night to make his playoff debut. He did not disappoint. Embiid finished with 23 points, 7 boards to help the Sixers beat Miami 128-108. It was actually closer than the score appeared to tell you. They take a 2-1 series lead. Now, Nick, how dangerous are the Sixers with Embiid back in the fold?
When they play like that, the Sixers' best game is as good as just about anybody's best game.
Do you think the Sixers are the only team in the East that can win a championship?
No, but I think they're the only team in the East that has a viable shot of beating LeBron. How about that? Because you're asking me is, do I think the Cavs can't win a championship? You asked in a little tricky manner,
tricky manner.
But no, I reject the premise that the Cavs are drawing dead to win a title, but on the Sixers, but I don't reject the premise.
There's nothing that we've seen from the Cavs that would have them in a championship conversation.
Right, we got a lot of time left. Don't worry about that. But on the Sixers, do I think the Sixers, if they get there, could present problems for whoever comes out of the West? If they're playing the way they played in the series and now they have Joel Embiid back, they check every box. Dominant big, amazing floor general, excellent shooting, top 5 defense. Like, they check every single box. And you saw it last night. They got to get through Miami now. It's only 2-1, but yeah, I mean, their best is outstanding.
Angelina, make sure you get this, all right? Make sure we chop it up and everything. I believe the Philadelphia 76ers are the best threat to win a championship out of the East. Better than Toronto, the #1 seed, and definitely better than Cleveland.
Okay. Chop that up. Angelina's our social media director. Chop it up, Ange.
Chop, chop. Pelicans took down the Blazers 119-102 last night to take a dominant 3-0 lead. Anthony Davis had 28 points and 11 boards, and Nikola Mirotic pitched in a career game with 30. CC, are people sleeping on the Pelicans?
Absolutely. I mean, if you talk about, I thought they had the most impressive 2 wins. Like yesterday, we had a question, which team has been the most dominant, and we just gave it to Houston by default.
Well, I tried to, and then you exited out the question.
Well, now that they've won 3, I think that question is easily answered by the rest of the American public. Yes, we're sleeping on the Pelicans. Yes, they are formidable. We haven't seen a team that would lose a superstar and has gotten better. Nick talks about the numbers since the All-Star break. They are real, and they're more than just the Brow and 4 other guys.
That's the thing is, going into the series, I thought the Pelicans had the best player. That's why I thought they could take the Blazers to 7, but I didn't think they'd ultimately win because I thought the Blazers had the 2nd best player, the 3rd best player. They were in the argument for the 5th and 6th best players. That's not how it's worked out. Pelicans have had the best player in the series, the 2nd best player in the series, and the 3rd best player in the series. It's a bit of an indictment on Dame and CJ, but Drew and Rondo have been great, and the Brow's the Brow. And Mirotic, 30-point playoff game on 80% shooting from Mirotic.
Witness protection.
Right.
Hey, if your game is slumping, shave your beard, change your location. He's playing some amazing basketball.
Absolutely.
All right, finally, the Spurs are on the verge of elimination, down 3-0 against the Warriors, but things might go from bad to worse for San Antonio fans. This offseason, recent reports have the Lakers pursuing Kawhi Leonard in a trade this summer. Nick, would Kawhi be a good fit in Los Angeles?
That's where he wants to be. I believe that when Pop talks about his group wants him either right here or right over there where our friends at Undisputed and the Herd are in L.A. That when you saw Kawhi turn down, Kawhi makes $500,000 a year on his shoe deal right now. He got offered a 4-year, $20 million deal, and he turned that down. You don't do that if you don't believe you're about to go to a marquee city and become one of the faces of the league. Now, his play has always warranted, prior to this year, that he be one of the faces of the league. But his location and his general demeanor, and where he's just so, not he's a bad guy, but where he's just so quiet and to himself, has not made him one of the faces of the league. And careful now with the Lakers. Lakers got a ton of cap space. Lakers have 2 blue-chip trade prospects in Ingram and Ball, 1, whatever you, silver chip in Kuzma. Like, they can make things work. They were smart this offseason and not tying up guys to long-term deals. They're like, hey, KCP, we'll give you $18 million, but for 1 year. Why? Because we want the salary cap space. I think Kawhi would believe he can go there with another player or 2, and then all of a sudden, like, what's the Lakers? Like, they would trade someone for Kawhi, sign new players, it'd be a totally new roster in Los Angeles.
Yesterday, we talked about the potential that the Clippers would show some interest. But the Lakers are more viable. We're going to hear of a lot of teams. People talk about coming to New York. New York is just like the Clippers. What assets do they have? The most viable places that have assets are probably the 2 most legendary franchises in the history of basketball. That'd be the Los Angeles Lakers and the Boston Celtics. They both have draft picks. They both have these blue chip prospects that would be. It would be nice to be able to get younger players, and that's what Pop would be looking for. So I think that the Lakers and the Celtics would be the favorite to be able to land Kawhi.
And I think people need to understand that if Kawhi, and he hasn't done this, but if Kawhi puts out there, hey, guys, I'm only signing an extension in 1 place or in 2 places, whatever it is, then that changes the market entirely. The Celtics absolutely, I believe, would give up Jason Tatum and something else for Kawhi, but not for 1 year of Kawhi. Not for if Kawhi's not committed to signing an extension there. Like, if he wants to be in Los Angeles, if that is where his destination franchise is, then he can dictate that essentially is where he goes. I'm going to add 1 more team to the Kawhi Leonard sweepstakes that we have not discussed, but in NBA circles, it is discussed on the same level as Boston and Los Angeles. And that's the team we were just talking about, Philadelphia. Philadelphia has cap space. Philadelphia has assets. Philadelphia has their draft picks. And Philadelphia's ability to package something. Keep in mind, Philly almost assuredly this year is going to have the Lakers pick, assuming it's not 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's a lot of ways that Philadelphia all of a sudden could insert themselves into this as well. But, I mean, I think it's smart that we're just talking about where Kawhi will be next year, because I cannot imagine it's going to be San Antonio.
All right, let's move on to the Golden State Warriors, who won again last night, beating the Spurs 110-97. They take a 3-0 series lead. Durant with 28. Steph Curry had no points. Still out with that MCL knee sprain. They predicted 4 to 6 weeks. We're at the 4-week mark. Before the game, it was reported that Steph isn't ready to come back anytime soon, that he might require the full 6 weeks, which would put him in line for a return around May 4th, meaning he would miss the start of the Warriors' round 2 matchup. CC, have the Warriors proven that they can keep winning without Steph Curry?
No, going against San Antonio, we saw how they finished the season. Let's not forget that these 3 games against San Antonio, a depleted offensive team, that they don't have the type of talent to be able to put up any. There's no mismatch like Golden State going against San Antonio. So what have they proven? They've proven that they're going to play some good defense. Clay has his game going, so when Steph comes back, Clay would be playing at a high level from a confidence standpoint. But, no, you're putting still a lot of minutes on Iggy. You're still putting a lot of minutes on the rest of those players without Steph being there. So, no, they haven't proven anything they could play without him. This was the best possible matchup that they could have in playing San Antonio in round number 1.
And now, all of a sudden, you look at what the matchup will be in round number 2. And if it's a matchup without Steph Curry, they're going to be playing the Pelicans in round number 2. We all agree, right? It's going to be Warriors-Pelicans. Both teams are up 3 games to nothing. Like,
I think I picked the Pelicans. We're going to have to go back.
But we can go back and check on that. But
let's just assume you did.
Regardless,
okay.
They're going to be playing the Pelicans in round 2. Here's what we know that the Warriors can't do against the Pelicans. Play that small ball lineup. I mean, you can try, I guess, if you want to have Draymond try to guard Anthony Davis. But you're going to have to, I would imagine. Probably JaVale McGee, maybe Zaza. So that is now your center position is a non-offensive threat. If you also don't have Steph Curry for a couple games and Quinn Cook or Sean Livingston, who just turned his ankle, or they had, remember when they started Iggy at point guard. If you have a non-offensive threat at the 1, and Quinn Cook's been a good story for them, but non-offensive threat at the 1 and a non-offensive threat at the 5, well, now you start looking at it and you say, oh, could this be a tougher matchup for them? They would be the overwhelming favorites over the Pelicans, to me, with Steph Curry back for the entirety of the series, even if Steph Curry's only at 80%. But if we're talking about Steph missing, if we're talking about him missing the first 2 games in Golden State, where New Orleans could then steal home court away from them, New Orleans playing the best basketball that team, that franchise maybe has ever played, playing with more confidence than they've ever had, well, now we start looking at the bracket, and it's a little bit different than we thought a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it's no doubt. It's a dangerous situation. And besides from the defensive end, we can't leave this series with a bunch of confidence. And we don't know. You talked about Livingston being injured. Durant tweaked his ankle there. Like in these series, I know what's going to happen. There's going to be some injuries that play a role moving forward. So what they want to do is get out of this series as quick as possible and try to get as much rest, because they are not a championship caliber team without Steph.
And this is why, by the way, it is important for the Pelicans to win Game 4. Get that sweep done. Both these guys sweep. The series can start maybe a day earlier or 2 days earlier than expected. And you get out. You have the best chance of being healthy. Because the one thing we know about New Orleans, as great as they've been in this postseason, they got 4 guys they trust. There's 4 guys on that team that they trust. They more than any other team playing right now is susceptible to one of their starting lineup going down with an injury, and all of a sudden they're a totally different team because they're not playing their bench. They've got 4 guys. So the quicker they can deal with the Blazers, the better off they are.
Well, that could happen Sunday for Game 4 between those 2. Coming up, could Dez join Odell on the Giants? That's next on First Things First.